Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. Joined by Coach Holt. And Coach, man, got to talk about the ledge today. It's been a rough couple of days coming off of a trade deadline. That was an exciting time for the Dodgers. But hey, last two nights, of course, it started out great against the Padres. You scored the 5 runs in the first game, the first inning. You had Tyler Glasnow on the bump. Everything looked great until it wasn't. And it hasn't been great since then, no doubt about it.
Well, coming in this series, we knew the Padres were hot. They'd been on a winning streak, and we always talk about how talented that team is, and they make a couple of good pickups at the trade deadline too. But they're a very talented team, have been for a few years here. We knew going into that, and the last time I think I was on with you, Casey, we always talk about the dog days of summer, which is true. Every team goes through it. I don't know that, and you even mentioned it last time. I don't think it's the dog days of summer. We got to get healthy. First of all, we got a lot of people missing, and we're not playing well. The bullpen isn't performing well. The offense is hit and miss. If you look down through the lineups, I think everybody's batting average is dropping except for Gavin Lux. He's on the rise. He
had 2 errors last night.
Exactly. Here we go again. Here we go again. There's a give and take there that they're not playing well. And really in any phase, I don't, compared to what the Dodgers should be. But I said that it's we don't want to the cliches, the long season, the dog days, which is true. But right now, it's just not playing, and you're playing a hot team on the road. But also you're blowing some games in the 9th inning. I hated seeing Robleski go down. Of course, he's a person. Being the OSU guy, close to our heart here, Case. But he got screwed out of 2 wins, and next thing you know, he was optioned out, but. And I know, I don't know the inner workings. I'm not the general manager. I don't claim to be, but I know there's some other things going on. They had to make room for blah, 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 and some things they did at the trade deadline. I get it, but, he performed pretty well. Him and River Ryan have both. River has performed well. So, but that's the nature of the business. We know that. But, with everybody who's there has to play better. We can sit there and talk about waiting on getting everybody. Well, everybody come when we get healthy, but. Meanwhile, they've cut it to a 4.5-game lead, and they're not going away. And they you could tell what they did at the trade deadline. They being the Padres, they're hooked up, and they're smelling blood. Yeah,
and I always talk about, hey, prospects are like cash, man. I mean, like I say it all the time. You can take all the money away from the rich people. You remember Grandpa, Coach? He was the smartest man I've ever met.
Yep.
I mean, he would always say, you can take all the money in the world away from the rich people, and just a couple years later, they'll have it back. They figured out how to get it first. The first time, they'll figure out how to get it again. I personally like the way that the Padres do their trade deadlines. Dump it. Go get who you need. Go get Tanner Scott. They've already got Arias, who's a really, really nice player. Laid down a really nice bunt in that 10th inning of the game before. And how about this, too, Coach? We talk about the Padres dumping their farm system, which I know Dodgers fans kind of like to mimic them for that, but I mean, honestly, what good is a kid doing for you in Tulsa? I mean, what is he doing? What is a Miguel Vargas doing for you when he's getting closer to 30 than he is 20?
Right.
And he's not helping your major league club. That doesn't help your system at all. So I personally like to dump it, start it over, win a couple World Series, and then let's build it back with using this wonderful scouting system and developmental system. It'll be back within a couple of years. I personally would rather go out and go get the Tanner Scotts and go get even in the offseason, we mentioned like a Randy Rosarina, or whoever, or Jesus Luzardo was a big talk, or whoever that. Go get Bo Jack Flaherty and Garrett Crochet.
Yeah.
And so I like how they did that, and I say that only to say they bunt in the 10th inning, they move a guy over, and then Donovan Solano with 2 strikes, Donovan Solano, who played at Oklahoma City quite a bit, got to see him a lot, and played with the Dodgers. Good player. I mean, not a great player, but just a good player.
Right.
With 2 strikes, widens his stance, shortens up, contact-oriented, puts it in play against the drawn-in infield, wins the game. Last night, against a Hall of Famer, I just don't want to hear this, that professionals don't make mistakes. First and third, we actually called it best play in baseball. The first and third safety squeeze because
absolutely
the first baseman can't crash, because if you do, the guy's going to steal second base. So you just bunt it somewhere down the first base line, somewhere in the pitcher's hands, and you score the run from third, you move a guy into scoring position. KlaytonKershaw makes the error. It just goes to show you, when you put pressure on the defense and you play fundamental baseball, those margins matter whenever you have two talented teams like the Dodgers and the Padres.
Yeah, and Clayton's not as young as he used to be. Let's face it. And
Sure.
he's not going to be as agile. And not that he's a great fielder to begin with, but he wasn't horrible. But anyway, it doesn't matter who it is on the mound. You put pressure on him. Like I said, Case, I know Coach Lee's with our Stillwater High School team. Winning baseball plays. That's the stuff that we had in our offensive playbook, and that was one of them. That's a winning baseball play. You get a sacrifice down the first and third, a safety squeeze, you score a runner, and you move. You do two winning plays.
And the other team might mess up.
Yeah, and if they throw it down right field, you may score 2 runs on the deal if you got the right guy on the bases. Too bad you don't have Ellie Cruz over there. They can score from second on the wild pickoff, that type of deal. Or steal second. I know you love this other day. I'll get off track the other day with the catcher dropped to his knees, lobbed it back to the pitcher. What'd you think of it, Case? As the old Legionnaires, we didn't have Ellie Cruz over at first, but he steals second base easy because the catcher drops to his knees and lobs it back to the pitcher, even on the major league level when you got a cat like that. But anyway, I'll get off that. But that's winning baseball plays, and we don't see it. We saw the playoffs last year. I know we talked about it. I remember texting Marty Lees, look at that. Yep. Phillies and the Diamondbacks both did sacrifice bunts in the same inning. You never see that because they were trying to win. I know I know it's a long season. You got to do what you got to do, but the Padres, it was important. They're going to win that game.
Mike Schill does a good job.
Yes, he does. He's a good manager. I know he did a good job in St. Louis. Matt Holliday speaks pretty highly of him.
Yes.
He thinks he's a good manager. So I trust everything Matt says. He's been there. He's been with the guy. He knows what he's like. And they got talent, Case. They're the only. They scare me of anybody. The Diamondbacks, the Giants, these guys have always scared me because they have the talent. Now, they hadn't put it all together yet, but we've seen it with the Rangers. We've seen it down through the years when teams get hot at the end of the year that have talent that just kind of starts off. As we know, the team playing the best in the year are usually the ones that win. It's not always the ones with the best record, as we surely know. So, that's a team that's very capable of overtaking the Dodgers and winning it all. So let's don't fool ourselves. Let's don't kid ourselves here. It's not your grandfather's Padres.
Let's not fool ourselves either. The Dodgers don't want to play the Padres in the postseason.
No.
The Dodgers don't want to play the Arizona Diamondbacks in the postseason. The Padres now, or the Dodgers have a 4.5 game lead over the Padres as far as the NL West goes. So that is shrinking, which I think some of that could be good because it's going to force the Dodgers to get out of this cruise mode, to get out of this big picture mode. It's going to force Dave to quit trying to throw guys out there, trying to fix them and trying to be a guy that's like, well, this is a good spot to get him in. We have some leeway here, there. Hey, you don't have any leeway, man. You got to throw out your best guys. 5-game lead over the Arizona Diamondbacks. And as of right now, the San Diego Padres are in the playoffs. They're a half a game ahead of the wild card. And then I looked today, the Dodgers are 3.5 games ahead of the Milwaukee Brewers in terms of having a better record than them to not have to play in the wild card round. So that's a big deal there. Is this as simple, Coach, as, hey, we're missing Mookie, hey, we're missing Freddie. When they get back, everything's going to be okay. Is it as simple as that?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
I don't think so, Case. And I would have been on the other. I would have gone the other way. Originally, hey, we just got to get our guys back. We're injured, but there's too many things that are cropping up now. We know MookieBetts one of the greatest players on the face of the earth. And Freddie, again, prayers to his son and his family, what they're going through. That's horrible, but that's way more important in baseball. So what happens there is just it's going to happen, and we pray for him and his kid in the future. But I don't think it's that simple now, Case, because there's too many things popping up. The bullpen. When we were saying that earlier, we being me probably saying that, hey, get everybody back, will be fine. I think everybody feels it. And there is some truth to that. I think there's a bigger picture than that. There's a lot of things cropping up in the bullpen. There's a lot of things there that haven't been very effective. So
Blake Trinan and Evan Phillips for one.
And that's two guys that have been there. Those are two guys. If you're looking around, we can count on those two guys. Joe Kelly, I think you can still count on him getting what you get out of him. For an inning, he's going to come out, throw strikes, throw heat, and probably get some outs. But I don't know that don't look like they want to use him any more than one inning, which is I'm not in the talks there. I don't know what the situation is. They're probably taking it easy on him. Don't want to be stupid with him, but he's a guy that we know we can depend on to get what you got. But too many things are cropping up. I think we got to get everybody healthy and whatever, but. Again, the Padres and Diamondbacks aren't going away. And like I said, the ones who've been there, like I said, look down through those batting averages case. They're going, everybody, it's not. Ohtani's hitting a lot of home runs, but, his average is dipping. He's not getting a lot of base hits.
Right.
Lux is going to catch Will. I think it's 238 and Will's 256.
Yeah, so, that surprises me.
Yeah, that's very surprising. And again, I'll give Will a pass because he's a catcher, but he does get some breaks. He gets probably more breaks than a lot of catchers because Barnes has played well. But
yes,
he does get more days off than some guys. Especially back in the old days. We don't want to talk old days. We want to talk now.
Yeah.
He gets some rest, but so that part's alarming to me. The ones who've been there every day, I think Teoscar's kind of stayed where he's been. He's going to go up and down a little bit, but he hasn't dropped off the face of the earth, so that's a good sign. And but some of the other guys, we see them going. The batting average is going down, and by the way, we're past the dog days case. July's over, baby. Yeah, today's August 1. Now you're looking at the finish line. It's not that far away.
I would totally agree. Actually shorted Blake Treinen a little bit there. Of course, he gave up the 2 runs in the game the other night against the Padres, which was very frustrating. And he has given up runs in back-to-back outings. But before that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 scoreless outings in a row.
Yeah.
And his ERA is just 2.85 in the month of July. So the Blake Treinen deal, that's just baseball.
Yeah,
it happens. Nobody's perfect. Those situations happen. So I kind of shorted him there, and I wanted to go back.
I agree. He's still very good.
Yes, and give him credit for there. I think Evan Phillips definitely is somebody that is of concern. Michael Kopech looked great last night, though, didn't he?
Yes, he did. That's a great pickup. I was just looking for went on the air case. The winners in the trade deadline. I thought the Dodgers are listed 1 or 2. I think the Cardinals. They said they filled all their needs and didn't really give up anything. But they had Dodgers down number 2 of what they picked up and getting Flaherty and like I said, Kopech and some things they did to help themselves. So I think they did great at the trade deadline. But it's as simple as me and Casey Porter, as the old high school coach, he's going to play better. Let's make it simple. We just need to play better.
Yeah. It does have the vibe, though, that, hey, we let the kids come out and play in the first half of the season. Time to put them to bed now that the season's coming towards the end. It's past the bedtime of the kids. Let's go ahead and send down Robleski. Let's rely on all of the veterans, whether they are more talented or not. The Dodgers, it just seems like they do this every year, and this year has that same feel again. And to be honest with you, the exact opposite hasn't worked. Has been what's worked as far as winning. What won them the 2020 championship were all the kids that they developed in their system. They brought up whatever year it was. They brought up Corey Seager straight from Oklahoma City, like in September, and he did well. So it just has the feel like they're putting all the kids to bed because it's past their bedtime for another season of Dodgers baseball.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, it's time for the big boys. Hey, the kids need to go to bed. The adults are going to play cards and get the cold beer out, whatever it is. But it's time for it's time for the adults to play. No, I agree, and I love our kids. I love Robleski and what those guys, all those guys that. And like I said, last year those kids saved our bacon. But that's last year. We already
have this year,
and they have this year in a lot of ways. We're still got a lead, and we've had to play a lot of kids and that just tells you how good they are to begin with. But it's one of those deals. They have it is time. Like I said, I can't believe it's August 1. It is August 1 today, so it's go time. And next thing you know, it's going to be September, and what's going on now? So and there's still no guarantees on the guys who are hurt what they're going to be like when they come back.
Right.
I think you watched some games in Oklahoma City. I think who'd you see pitch down there last week?
Last week, I got to see Ryan Brazier. I got to see Brusdar Graterol and Michael Grove. That was fun.
Yes, okay. Yeah. And I saw your interview with Graterol, so that was good. But there's some things going on there that there's some help there, but
there is.
It's I don't know. And this is the time that the Roberts and all those guys, all the managers in the big leagues, when they're going through this type of situations, and the arm injuries are all over case. It's not just the Dodgers. Yeah. Pitchers' injuries are off the charts, and I know we don't want to get into that.
Sure.
Old high school coaches, we got our opinions on that stuff too.
Yeah.
But it's all over, and you can only do what you can do because the game's going to start whether you can sit around in your crying towel, but at 7 o'clock tonight they're teeing it up, and you got the Padres over there looking at you. So there's a lot of things going on, and you just can't hide from it.
Yep. So here's the deal. The way I see it is, if you have a manager like Dave that does a great job building a great culture, players are very comfortable, maybe sometimes too comfortable in his system. But I think by and large, he gets a lot out of his players because the players feel comfortable in the environment he creates.
Right.
And it's an environment that's very supportive and that kind of thing. So I think by and large that is a very big advantage for Dave. But it's not it's not a Jimmy Leland type situation to where players have that little bit of maybe an intimidation factor of their manager. So if you have that kind of manager that's more of a players type, get along, create a positive culture, that kind of thing, then you need a couple of really kick-assers as players that are that guy. You've got to have that guy either in management or as a player. You can't just have really nice manager, really nice players, and then just go out there and we're just really nice people every single day. You got to either have the gritty manager or the gritty leader on the field playing. That's the reason why I just, in no way, shape, or form do I think the Dodgers should ever get rid of Dalton Rushing. He is that guy. So I think for a lot of ways, Miguel Rojas is missed too because he is that gritty, hey guys, this isn't acceptable, get your crap together. He is that guy, that little kick-asser, if you will, that maybe Dave isn't sometimes, that this team really needs.
Call them dirt daubers, Case. That's the old term we always use, the dirt dauber.
Yeah.
Casey Porter never had a clean uniform. Even when the game started, his uniform was dirty from the day before. We give him a hard time. But, that's you have to have that. I used to always – my daughter played basketball. I said, you can be a beautiful young girl and put your makeup on and dress nice and look sweet when the game's over. When that game starts, pull that freaking hair back and get after it. There's no secret here. You got to have those dirt daubers. I think Joe Kelly's obviously that on the mound. They got that on their pitching staff. There's no doubt Joe Kelly's a dirt dauber. If he played second base, he'd be dirty all the time, and he'd be starting fights at second base. I love that guy.
That's why we love him.
Yeah, that's his makeup, his mentality, and that's how he's been successful at what he does. But no, there's no doubt, Case, you're right. You can't have everybody being a pat on the back, good old boy. You want, and that's great. As you notice today, we haven't blamed Dave Roberts for anything so far. Now you get on social media, that's a different deal, but that's fine. Everybody's got your freedom of speech. You got a right to express yourself, especially Dodger fans when you're frustrated. I get it. Everybody's ready to fire him and that sort of thing. But me and you today, right now, haven't blamed anything on him.
There's nothing to blame. He brought in Blake Trinan, who I just mentioned
exactly.
has a 2.53 ERA in July. And had went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He had gone actually 10 outings. He had before he gave up the run on the 27th. He had gone 10 outings in a row scoreless. Actually, 11 outings in a row scoreless. He brought in Blake Trinan and pitched a Hall of Famer in ClaytonKershaw, who's healthy. Those are the only decisions really. If you're going to get upset with him for bringing in Blake Trinan, I mean, you need to actually evaluate what Blake Trinan has been and how good he had given up one run in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 outings.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you're upset with if you're upset with him bringing in Blake Trinan and riding him however he did. And I mean, I didn't hear anybody upset that ClaytonKershaw was starting the game yesterday.
No.
And so, I mean, I don't see anywhere in the last 2 days now. I think where you could criticize Dave is what we just mentioned. Maybe too nice of a guy.
Yeah.
Not enough of a bottom line. When he does try to come off as a hard ass, it's awkward. It doesn't have the right type effect. It almost feels like when he tries to come off being a hard ass, he has to use words to do it because his mannerisms and just his persona never comes off hard assish, if you will. Yeah. So it's then you hear his words and you're like, damn it, he just about halfway threw that dude under the bus. I mean, so it just comes off wrong when he tries to do that. So if you're going to criticize Dave, in my opinion, that would be the criticism, but that's not something he can change here as we flip the calendar to August. That's just who he is.
No, and that's right. We don't want him changing. And I'm glad he's our manager right now. I'm glad he's our manager. I think he's the right guy because of what they're going through right now. We've seen the Tony Dungy's of the world. They say that guy never raised his voice. Highly respected, was able to win the Super Bowl. I mean, those
But he
guys,
had Peyton Manning, who was a dog, who he was that guy that was the fiery guy that did that for him.
Yeah, he didn't have to go to yelling and screaming and breaking chalkboards and that sort of stuff because that wasn't him. He couldn't do it. Like you said with Dave, he can't do it. That's not their personality. And the guys will see through it. Even high school kids can read you if you're a phony.
Yeah.
These guys, that's not Dave. They don't want to see that there. And I'll throw it back on the player somewhat. Dude, every day of your life you wake up, you're a baseball player. I mean, you've talked about this. I know there's pressure on them because somebody's always wanting their job. Every day there's somebody trying to take your job. There's pressure on you, that sort of thing. So, but you're also getting paid a lot of money to perform, and that's your job. So it just needs to get better. I'm not throwing anybody on the bus.
Sure.
I love the Dodgers. I love Major League. I love baseball in general. I love Major League Baseball. And it's hard to be good at baseball. People need to back up a little bit. It's hard to be good at this sport. So when you're good, you're putting in first of all, you got talent, you're putting in the time, and you're doing everything to try to be successful, and you're still going to fail 7 out of 10 times. So get out of here. That's the nature of the business.
Absolutely. I do think there are spots to where this last couple of days are alarming. I think it's fair for and fan. Fans short for fanatic. That's what we do, Coach. I mean, we overreact to everything. We want to win every single game. We don't want to have any adversity. We don't want to have any negativity. We don't want to have any of that. But I will say this, and we just kind of hit it. I think it's fair to say that there's always room for improvement and room to have the tough conversations, room to be honest with, hey, where are we at? What do we need to do? How do we need to get better? That kind of thing. So that brings us to the next tough conversation. What in the world do you do with ClaytonKershaw, Coach? He's making errors on first and third bunts. He's hanging sliders. He's throwing 91-mile-an-hour fastballs, belt high, that's not going to get past major league hitters. So there's results and there's process, and neither one of them looked good last night. It didn't look good in the sense that you go, yeah, okay, well, he gave up 3 earned runs, but part of that was because he made an error himself. Yeah. But then also the process so you might say, well, hey, the result, sometimes that happens, like we said that earlier. But then the process of it is not getting the fastball up in the zone past hitters, the slider, every time it hangs, it's getting hit. He didn't field the bunt, didn't look good, didn't look comfortable on the mound. It didn't look to me like, oh, wait, he's close. This is just, he's a pitch or 2 away, or a bad break here or 2 away from this being a totally different result. It just didn't look that way to me. So where are we at with ClaytonKershaw?
Well, I don't want to go back in the past, but it's a recent past case. Me and you both saw him pitch in Oklahoma City. I had some concerns then.
Yes.
Topping at 91, you're right. And we talked about that after we both watched that. Yeah, he's going to have to reinvent himself. That 91 can't be in the middle of the plate. I mean, I'm not telling him anything you don't know. The guy has forgot more baseball than I'll ever know. And I'm not trying to tell him his business, but he knows that. But, when it does get on the plate at 91, these guys, it's batting practice for those guys. It'd be hard to hit for me. But the breaking pitch, we saw in Oklahoma City, it was struggle a little bit. So I know his next outing, I think, was good on the road for Oklahoma City and then that sort of thing. But I'm like, and I hate being this guy. I have no power of anything. I'm just a fan. I always thought maybe he'll come back in the relief role.
That's what I thought.
I thought he'd be your lefty out of the pen to face left-handed hitters. I mean, is that maybe that's the part he is in his career. That would not be the best thing for the Dodgers. But I don't know the inner workings. I don't know the inner conversations, and maybe he refused to do that. I don't know. But I was always thinking, he's back, but he's not ClaytonKershaw. Well, none of us are. I mean, none of us is what we were a few years ago. So, a relief role? I don't know. They're struggling down there. Yeah. I don't know if that's ever come up. Maybe it says in his contract he can't relieve. I don't know.
Who's going to tell him that? I mean, is Dave going to stand up to if it has to happen? Yep. If it gets to the point to where, hey, Robleski's better than ClaytonKershaw. I know he's the king. He's a Hall of Famer. All this, and lightning's going to strike me by if it gets to that point to where. So I guess the question is, he's a Hall of Famer. He's done so much for this organization. Coach, we dearly love ClaytonKershaw.
No doubt.
I mean, everybody loves him to death, and we're all willing to give him a certain amount of leeway. Yep. I guess the tough question is, how much leeway is that?
I agree, and I say I don't know the inner workings. I don't know the relationship. I don't know ClaytonKershaw, so it's not fair to me to speak for a lot of stuff. I'm just a fan like everybody else looking out. That's a high school baseball coach that has had to have tough conversations with my little 16 and 17-year-olds. Yeah. It's a different deal. I'm not talking to a Hall of Fame pitcher, so I know those are different conversations than you and I have had with our players. But I don't know. That would be obviously that's a tough one. A Hall of Famer, and I'm asking you to go to the bullpen, but you know, Tim Duncan also played for $10 million when he could have made $50 million a year just because he wanted to win a world championship. Yeah. And that whole San Antonio Spurs deal, we know how that was. They all took less money what they could have made somewhere else because they bought into it and they won a lot of world championships because they were able to get other people around them. Now, I don't want to get around my Dallas Cowboys here. They're getting ready to float the bank to somebody. They're not going to have anybody around him, and he ain't good enough to win. That's all I'll say. But it's the same type deal. Those are tough conversations, and it may just be, hey, he made it say, no, I don't want to do that. That's his prerogative too. He's earned that right. But that would be a Dave Roberts conversation. Obviously, he's the manager. That's where the buck stops there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think a very positive thing is the Dodgers need to not lose a game in the next 4 days.
Yep.
They have a day off today, and then you have the A's in Oakland. I don't know how many people are going to be there. There's going to be about probably 89,000, maybe
7,000 Dodger fans,
Yeah, and then the rest of them are all going to be Dodgers. So this is going to be home field away from home field. Absolutely. The Dodgers of course, they have the day off today. They need to win these 3 games, right the ship, because their schedule, I don't think they play a team below 500. Well, they have the Phillies and they have the Pirates, but then they have the Brewers, the Mariners, who are really good, the Rays, who we know they're very talented, and then the Orioles, and then the D-backs. I mean, and then meanwhile, the Padres schedule is not as hard. So the schedule, I think, down the stretch favors the Padres. So when you have series like what you have coming up, you really got to make hay with them. And then as we get a little bit closer to Yoshinobu Yamamoto maybe getting healthy, MookieBetts getting FreddieFreeman back. So, Coach, hey, it's been a fun show today. Final thoughts?
Just like I said, we know there's problems out there. Being fans, we struggle. We're on our guys with every pitch. We want them to, like you said, Case, we want to win every game. But the reality is they're not going to win every game. And the Dodgers, like I said, I'm glad Dave Roberts, our manager, he's the right personality to try to right the ship and get these guys where they need to be. But it's as simple as we just got to play better. And I'm not going anywhere as a Dodger fan. I love the Dodgers. I will to the day I die. And that's not going to happen. I love Casey Porter to the day I die, too.
Absolutely.
So I've enjoyed it, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not forget they have the second best record in the National League, just a couple of games behind Philadelphia, and 1, 2, 3, and other than a couple teams in the American League, Baltimore, who has 65 wins, and Cleveland has 65. They have more wins than every other team in baseball as well. And they still have a 4.5 game lead in the NL West. And so we say all this kind of sitting on top of our mountain there, kind of in our ivory tower, because we're saying it with a 4.5 game lead and a very, very good team who's had a very, very good season amidst a bunch of really difficult situations. So, hey, it's never as bad as it ever seems. It's never as good as it ever seems. I think that's one of those periods. You take the off day, you go kick the Oakland A's ass, you win 3 games in a row, and then you go give it hell against the Phillies. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see how this plays out, Coach. I love you. It's great to see your face, and thank you so much for joining.
You bet, baby, and go Dodgers.
Going to start our Down on the Farm segment, as we do each and every time, at the single A level at Rancho Cucamonga. And yes, we are talking KendallGeorge again. And why not? Young man has 31 stolen bases on the year and continues to grow his game around what you saw right here. Speed. 2 infield base hits. Hey, man, just chop that thing in the ground. I know we've talked about, Mookie talked about the other day, don't hit the ball in the ground. Oral was talking about getting the ball past the pitcher. That is, unless you have the speed of KendallGeorge. Do exactly what Kendall did on those 2 hits there. Just hit the ball on the ground and then beat out a base hit, because no infielder, either a third baseman or a shortstop, is going to be able to throw him out. And then again, also he has 31 stolen bases. So I know, hey, as he gets older, he's going to grow around his game. Yes, that is correct. He is going to become more of a big gulp as he goes on and not just be a speed guy. He's also going to be able to have some pop and be able to hit some home runs and be able to have a little bit of slug in him as well. But make no mistake about it, his game will forever and always be centered around what you're seeing right here. Just slap the ball, put it in play, and run to first base and put all that pressure on the defense. So I wanted to show you another example of KendallGeorge using his speed to impact the baseball game. Second day in a row, we've covered shortstop Oswaldo Osorio, boy, and that is his first home run since his first game in a Quakes uniform. I believe Mike Lindskog said it was back in April, and it was a game where he really helped the Quakes win, so it's good to see him get in the long ball category again. Him, guys like Patrick Copen, even KendallGeorge to an extent. That's why if all you do is look at a stat sheet when you're evaluating prospects, it's just so wildly inaccurate. There's such a process to getting to where these guys are trying to be. You know, I've talked to many of these different guys. They're working on this, they're working on that, and they're doing it against professional competition. So, to be honest with you, look at the process here with Osorio. Just look at that swing. It's a fantastic swing. Another one of those young shortstop prospects, we talk about this all the time, that made it possible for the Dodgers to be aggressive, to get rid of Alexander Albertus, who is a great player in his own right. But look at that swing. You tell me right there. I mean, what could go wrong with that? That is a beautiful swing for Oswaldo Osorio. First time posting and or covering Alex McKayrich. And this is a young man that was taken last year in the 13th round out of, I believe it was Northwestern State. Did not pitch at all last summer and then got started this year at the complex. And then got brought up to Rancho at the beginning of June. Not quite sure why I haven't covered him yet. Not quite sure why I haven't posted on him yet. But glad to do it. I have messaged and reached out to Alex to see if he can nail down his exact mix. But just based on the broadcast from Mike Lindskog, that fastball there looks to me like it's a four-seam. And it's about 95 to 96. He has a couple of left turners. There's one right there. More of it. That's actually his four-seam for strike three of the inning. But he has a couple of different looking left turners. He likes to use that fastball up in the zone into that fourth spot on the outside corner, and it's a good pitch at 95-96. There's just what it looks like to me, just a little bit of a left turn on a cutter, and then he also has another left turner that has more sweep to it. That's actually a fastball. We'll get to the one that has a little bit more depth to it. Well, we might not in this video, but he does also have another left turner that has more depth to it. So there is a good look at the first time that we've looked at Alex McKayrich, again, a young man that was drafted in the 2023 draft last summer. This is JosueDePaula, and that is a huge home run for him. That's the one that he absolutely nailed in right center. The Great Lakes Loons, they have not had a video feed that I have been able to find the last couple of days, at least when I went back to find the archive. It kept giving me an error message. So maybe they do, and I'm just missing it. So I'm just going to kind of bounce around and show you some different videos of JosueDePaula, who had 2 hits last night. Hey, first of all, great to see him in the Dodger system still. I know he was one of the young players that a lot of fans felt like the Dodgers were going to use in trade. And I know the Yordan Alvarez thing, that just have Dodgers fans just completely petrified with the JosueDePaula situation. Don't want to make that same mistake twice. And so I think there's a lot of fans, Dodgers fans, that are relieved that JosueDePaula is still in the system. He had 2 hits last night, including his second double, and he had 3 RBIs, and he walked twice. So when you're talking about a young man out of the leadoff position that has 2 hits and then walks twice, has 3 RBIs, that's a pretty good impact from JosueDePaula. Good to see Dylan Campbell back on Dodgers Daily, because that means that he's doing good things. And I'll tell you what, Dylan Campbell, we always talk about the Dodgers love versatility, and this guy is the definition of versatility, both on offense and defense. He can hit home runs. He can do that and just slap the ball up the middle. He can go the other way with it. He can bunt. He can hit behind runners. He can execute small ball and situational hitting on the offensive side. You've seen it right here in this video. Then defensively, he can play anywhere on the field except for pitcher and catcher. So massive versatility for Dylan Campbell. Equal talent. This young man is very, very talented. And just kind of give you an example, 31 stolen bases on the year. That's the exact same amount as KendallGeorge. So that just goes to show you just how talented Dylan Campbell is, how athletic he is, how versatile, and how many ways that Dylan Campbell impacts a baseball game. Jake Geloff has hit his first professional tough patch, and it happens to everybody, and it's always about when you have guys as talented as Jake Geloff. Hey, Jake Geloff is a front of the Rolodex type of talent. Now, obviously, you haven't had front of the Rolodex type results, which is fine. I mean, hey, that's what the minor league process is for, no doubt about it. But he definitely has that type of talent. He has massive power, and he also has the ability to do this right here and stay inside the baseball and create a really, really, really nice hit tool as well. And then he plays third base, which has been a burr in the saddle of the Dodgers all year. So it's a position that I think is going to be readily available in a couple of years, just about when he's ready to make it up to the major leagues. So definitely want to keep an eye on Jake Geloff. And going back to the rough patch, I always just like to see how these young players, nobody gets away from it. I mean, nobody gets away from that first rough patch. Nobody ever comes into professional baseball and then just automatically hits 320 the entire time they're there. Everybody goes through that one patch. Dalton Rushing, I think, went 0 for 36 at one point. Will Smith, it's happened to him. It happened to Corey Seager. It's happened to all of them. So the interesting part to me is always watching these great players come out of it, how they handle the failure, and many times, and talking to these guys, they'll point blank say, first time they've ever really not had total success in the game, first time they've had to deal with any kind of extended amount of failure. Very interesting to see how they deal with it and come out on the other side. So we're in that process with Jake Geloff. So it's great to see him have just a huge night last night. 3 hits, 5th home run in a Loons uniform, 7th overall, 10th double, 2 RBIs, and scored twice. When you have a young man as talented as Jake Geloff, nights like this can ignite a spark into a big finish to the season. So we're hoping for that for the Virginia Cavalier. Go Wahoos, Jake Geloff. So more process talk, and we're moving now to the pitching side with Patrick Copen. His ERA is 5, which you might say, ERA of 5 at high A, whatever. It's really kind of a pitcher's league. So, again, just another example of why statistics just aren't a good way of evaluating young guys when they're trying to progress and they're trying to find the best version of themselves. Look at that good slider there. Because Patrick Copen, if you've used your eyes and you've watched his progression, the good weight that he put on, the way that he started to command the zone a little bit better, the way that he's refined his mix, the way that his secondary pitches are coming along, the way that the fastball is hopping and riding, and that kind of thing. I just can't imagine anybody who's had their eyes on Patrick Copen for any amount of time this year could not come away thinking this young man is well on his way to improving by quite a bit and becoming the type of pitcher that the Dodgers thought he could be when they drafted him out of Marshall University. So, again, just open your eyes and watch the process of Patrick Copen last night. 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts, and a walk. So, really high. This is a front of the Rolodex type potential pitcher for the Dodgers, Patrick Copen, so stay tuned. Rambo is back at it. That is Madison Jeffrey and his big fastball, lots of confidence and swag. And hey, man, he has done a good job this year. Still needs to get the ball in the zone more. I believe he has 8 strikeouts and 8 walks. You can see that confidence there so far this month. But because his stuff is so big, he's actually had a great month. This is the 4th out of his last 5 outings that have gone scoreless for him. 2nd scoreless outing in a row, and I think his ERA this month is like in the mid-1s, something like that, despite having, I believe it was like 8 strikeouts and 8 walks. That's just how big Madison Jeffrey's stuff is. So, again, another guy that's using the minor league process to figure out all the kinks, and the Dodgers have stayed patient with him. And so many times when you stay patient with guys that have the makeup, the mental makeup of Madison Jeffrey, when they have that much confidence, and then also the physical talent, the patience game a lot of times pays a lot of dividends. So stay patient with a guy like this. Hope that he continues to refine the strike zone while keeping the big stuff. Hey, you don't want to lose more than you gain by trying to get the ball in the zone, and meaning, hey, you're taking off 5 or 6 miles an hour off your fastball. You're losing break on all your secondary stuff. You don't want to lose what's made you good. So the process is, it's tricky. How do I figure out how to fill all my holes while not, reducing all the things that I do well? That's the process that Madison Jeffrey is in right now, and he's doing a good job of it. And this month has been a very good one in terms of ERA and going scoreless for him. Jermaine Rosario, we always talk about when he is on, he is on. Look at that big curveball right there. Was throwing a nice curveball, and then this slider as well. So he had a good secondary offerings last night, and then he had a fastball that was well located. There's a good slider on the outer half. Fastball was well located, dotted it on the outer half, and it was touching 97. So, hey, the stuff was big. We always talk about that with Jermaine Rosario. Good fastball. When he's on, he locates it very well to positions and spots in the zone that are very safe. And then the breaking balls are big. That one there, that's 97 miles an hour. And you just watch his sequencing. I mean, it was fastball, slider, curve, slider, foul. I mean, it just seemed like the sequencing was never the same, but the execution was, which was very good. So I was very impressed. Look at that big curveball with the sequencing last night of Jermaine Rosario, and then his ability to execute behind the somewhat complicated sequences that he was using. So very good job last night for Jermaine Rosario, 4 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 8 strikeouts, and 4 walks. So great job, Jermaine Rosario. Ben Harris was brought in with the bases loaded and 2 outs. And if you know anything about his backstory, he strikes everybody out, but he loses the strike zone sometimes. So I thought this was an absolutely awesome test for Duran Olinger and Ryan Dennick to give Ben Harris. Hey, big boy, we know your past. We know what you do well. We know what you don't do well sometimes. Here you go. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Get us out of the jam. Throw the ball in the strike zone. Get us a strikeout and get us out of here. And Ben Harris did that. I love that challenge they gave him. Harris also started the next inning and went scoreless on the night. 4-pitch strikeout to get out of this jam, including fastballs, including his slider. He pitched backwards. He did everything that you're supposed to do in high leverage situations. His sequencing was great. His execution was even better. So great job, Ben Harris. They went back-to-back in terms of bringing pitchers in big situations. Michael Hobbs also came in. Now, the bases weren't loaded, but he did come in with a runner at second base in a tie game in towards, the later half of the middle innings, if you will. So a big situation for Michael Hobbs, and he came in. Fastball, believe, touched 96. Fastball last night touched 96, which is good for him, and he got a 7-pitch strikeout. Hey, last year Michael Hobbs got, I believe it was an 11 or 13-pitch strikeout. It's one or the other. I think it was 13. Don't quote me on that. It may have been 11. So this is a guy, Michael Hobbs. He will never back down. He is never, you can foul off as many pitches as you want like that right there. He's going to win because he is going to be more competitive than you are. He is one of the most competitive human beings that I have ever seen. And I tell you what, when he throws to Dalton Rushing, it is must-see TV because you have one of the most competitive human beings I've ever seen on the mound throwing to one of the most competitive human beings I've ever seen catching. And it is a lot of fun to watch, and it almost never fails. Michael Hobbs did a great job last night. Retired all 4 batters he faced and got 3 strikeouts. So a hell of an outing for the all-time save leaders from St. Mary's. Michael Hobbs, attaboy Hobbsy. Edgardo Henriquez, if you follow Dodgers Daily, you know he is one of my most untouchable players in the system alongside of Dalton Rushing. Slider. Okay, right. We're getting ready to it. Here's this 3rd pitch. Watch this slider right here. Coming up, I believe, is the next pitch. Right there. Wow. That pitch has reached 94 miles an hour. Now, 94 miles an hour. Let me back that up and show you that one more time. And just imagine. Now, this one actually was thrown 91. So this exact pitch wasn't 94. But he has reached 94 at this pitch right here. Watch this. Whoop. Nope. That's his fastball there. Let me go ahead and back it up and get to that 3rd pitch. Again, that one. Wow. That is an amazing pitch for being 90 plus and having the ability to hit 94 miles an hour to combine with that right there, which has reached 103. Edgardo Henriquez, I say it every single time. It is a manual class A plus a tick, maybe or 2 up. Now, the sequencing and the execution, all that, yes, there's a reason why manual class A is one of the best closers in the major leagues. And another reason why Edgardo Henriquez is a AA, first of all, it's because he's coming back off of the Tommy John injury. That's reason number 1. I will be interested to see, he started with Rancho this year. Is he going to be the first guy that I've ever seen that went through all 4 affiliates in the same season and then maybe even flirts with a cup of coffee at the major league level? He's that good. He's that talented. And as long as he's healthy, I don't see any reason where the Dodgers could go wrong by continuing to giving him challenges like that, because his stuff is really good. Edgardo Henriquez. Jose Ramos is starting to get hot, and he is starting, I tell you what, it's not about just gathering hits. It's about just the way he looks. He had 3 hits last night. He had 2 hits the night before. And, he leads the league, the Texas League in home runs. So we're not going to sugarcoat that. And we're going to be totally transparent on the type of year he's had. It has been a real struggle for Jose Ramos. But what I want you to notice, see that leg kick? That is a bigger leg kick than he's ever had. Now, he's always had somewhat of a leg kick. Now you say, what does that do for you? So as you draw this out, this is a timing mechanism. And typically speaking, that you give big leg kicks to guys like Jose Ramos and Ryan Ward, who are so aggressive that they hit the ball out front too much. And that gets them, every time they have breaking balls, they're going to get beat by breaking balls on the front. And then also that means they're going to clip over a lot of ground balls because they're hitting it in the front and they kind of roll over it like the tennis racket effect when they're early. So you see right here, look how deep that timing is. Even though he pulled that ball, because he's giving himself a bigger leg kick, you do that to keep hitters that like to hit the ball out front from being quite so jumpy, and it forces them to let the ball get a little bit deeper, which is in the consistent part of his swing. So look how deep that ball is where he hit that ball, and I think a lot of that is because of the timing that he created with that bigger leg kick. So he pulled that ball even with deep timing. Let's watch his next at bat as well, as he's really just trying to stay center with this, trying to let the ball get deep and using a good timing mechanism with a bigger leg kick. Big leg kick, hit the ball to right field, Jose Ramos. That a boy. I tell you what, again, the results are great. He'll take them because it's been frustrating for him for the most part this year. He'll take the results, but I promise you and there's another really just nice hit, nice and smooth. I'll promise you what he's most excited about is just the way he feels right now at the plate. I will be surprised if the way he looks right now doesn't translate into a period of success moving forward, because this is as comfortable as he has looked in a long time at the plate, Jose Ramos. Alan Trejo, a young man the Dodgers picked up about a month ago, had 2 hits last night. It was good to see him have a big night. Andre Lipsius also had 3 hits as well. Lipsius, as a matter of fact, has hits in 7 of his last 9 games and has 5 for his last 12. But, hey, Trejo had a nice game last night. He actually gathered 3 hits, his 6th double, and he also had the base hit in the 10th inning that set up he moved the runner to third base, the place runner to third base, and then that runner was scored, and then Jack Dreyer slammed the door in the 9th inning. So really professional glove for Alan Trejo. We know that. One interesting thing about him when I had a chance to talk to him for an interview, he mentioned that he really feels like he still has a lot left in his offensive game, and he felt like the Dodgers could really get his offensive game in a position to where he could help a major league club. So we'll continue to monitor that, but a good night last night for Alan Trejo. Moving now to the pitching side. Hey, this was the 10th inning here. Jack Dreyer through the 9th and the 10th inning. You can see the score there. Oklahoma City had a 7-6 lead. Bottom of the 10th, the placed runner was put at second base. You have a 1-run lead, and Jack Dreyer's in the game. I always talk about how Jack Dreyer loves the high leverage moments. He is one of those super competitive young men, just loves competing, and especially when the game matters, the parts of the game where it matters the most. Look at that big curveball to Cody Hosey right there with 2 outs. Ends the game right there. So Jack Dreyer, the Maytag, he stranded the place runner and ended the game last night. No doubt that he loves the big moments. ERA on the year is 2.03. He got the dub last night to move to 4-1. His whip, his walks and hits per innings pitched, is just 0.85. And Dreyer, the Maytag, has 56 strikeouts in 41.1 innings. I know he's an undrafted free agent, but it's because of all of the injuries he had to deal with dating all the way back to 2019 at the University of Iowa. Jack Dreyer, I assure you, he's a front of the Rolodex guy. He is really, really, really good. The Maytag.